Okay, so let's get started tonight, folks. This is probably one of my most favorite things to teach of everything that we've been teaching. And if you pay attention, okay, I was on the phone with today with the CEO out of Phoenix, Arizona, and he was saying to me, um, Coach, we want you to teach different things, and and I stopped him and I said, let me ask you a question. Could one person on your team give a valid explanation of value for your services? I said, you've been in the training for for 3 months now, and you want me to teach something new. And I said, you don't need to teach something new. You need to get good at what you already know. Okay. And you need to understand we live in a world of cotton candy. Okay. Success is boring, folks. You get up and you kick everybody's butt and you go to bed and you get up and do it again tomorrow. Okay. It's not sexy every day. It's not fun every day, but there is a repetition and a methodology to producing revenue for your business. And what I've tried to teach you over the last 6 weeks is, number one, we have to reactivate that prey drive. That's number one, right? And there's 3 components to prey drive and 5 activators of prey drive. And if the prey drive is not activated, you just don't have the juice to go do it every day. Is you start and you fall off the wagon, and you start and you quit, and you start and you don't go the distance, and you start and you don't follow up, and you start and you don't, right? And, I'm really seeing this in this gym that I own because my partner came to me today and asked me, would I just buy the whole thing? I own 50% of the gym, and he asked me, would I just take 100% of the gym? And I'm thinking about the amount of energy I have to put into it to make it work. Because what I really want to do is take what I've learned in my coaching business and apply it to the gym and make the gym work. But I know how hard it is in the coaching business. Okay, the force and energy and time and selling every day. But the prey drive has to be activated every day. Okay, then we move into the explanation of service. And in my opinion, if you don't have a good explanation of service, you really don't know what you believe. You don't know why you believe it. You see, every decision I make in a day goes right back to one thing, what I believe, right? Like I believe in speed. I believe in bundling. I believe in becoming a person of interest. I believe in, there's all these things I believe which help me to make decisions quickly because I'm very clear in what I believe. Okay. And I believe in going to people who've already done what you want to do. So they speed up the process for you, right? I believe that when you're investing in yourself. And that's the greatest investment you can make. I believe in betting on me. So the EOS is a whole lot more than just a statement. It is really a set of beliefs which helps you make decisions on what you believe and what you don't believe, and who you want to partner with and who you don't want to partner with, and what opportunities you want to take on and what opportunities you don't want to take on. So this is big concept of the explanation of value. And if you don't get that right, it's like we could put you in front of 1,000 people, but what if you don't have anything valuable to say? Right? Like, what if I gave you a microphone and said you got 10 million people tomorrow? What are you going to say to these people? Okay. And that's really why the explanation of service is so critical. Then we move to the selling system, which is how you make money. Who do you call every day? How do you follow up? How do you work the top 25? How do you generate revenue? How do you initiate every day to make money with your product or service? And that is called the selling system, right? The selling system. And, for those of you that are in Optavia, a person from Optavia emailed in today and he said to me, well, I wish you would coach more toward our vernacular. I thought it would be more relevant to Optavia coaches. I'm like, look, man, you got to go out and get customers, and you got to go out and get team members. I don't care what you call it. I don't care what you name it. I don't care if you call it Karen and Sharon or selling, and I don't care what you call it. But every day when you wake up, you have to go out and initiate to grow your business. Okay. And I think amateurs get caught up in the wording. So what that Brad Lee calls it something different than Coach Burt does, which calls it different than Doug Wood does, which calls it different than Dr. A does, which calls it different than Grant Cardone does. It's all the same thing, folks. And the same thing is until you make money, it don't work. Okay. And you have to generate revenue. Okay. And that's, see, to me, that's a very limited way of thinking. Like learn how to associate. If Amy gives me a concept, she may give it to me in a different way than I've heard it before, but it doesn't mean the concept can't be applied to what I'm doing. Okay. That's so broaden, you got to broaden your thinking. So my point is, this is the part that's missing for a lot of people, is they don't have a selling system. And it doesn't matter how good you are at speaking, coaching, training, leading. If you can't go out and make money with it, then something is missing. And what's missing is you initiating every day, locating a problem, offering a compelling solution, pushing a person to something, bringing a person to a decision, right? Then we move from there to the follow-up, which is we call $1 million follow-up. And $1 million follow-up is the persistence and intensity to continue to go until you have a buying decision from a person. And that is really, really critical, because what happens is people commit to something and then they get cold feet and then they back out. They start and then they fall off the wagon. They start and then they right. And so the $1 million follow-up says we go 7 to 15 touches, 80% of the time, to convert a prospect to a buyer or a person that's interested to a person that is monetizing that concept. And most people don't go 7 to 15 touches. They go 1 or 2 touches in the follow-up. Okay. Then we move to, now we got customers. Now we've got all these customers, and the question becomes, how do we extract and optimize your customer base? I.e., how do you become a person? How do you get new customers out of your current customers? You going to bed? Okay. Love you. Okay. All right. So how do you take your current customers and extract new business out of that? Okay. Now, this is very important. I believe in customer engagement, not customer service. And because of that, I want to engage with people like crazy. Okay. I believe that you can't change your life if you don't get them in the room. Okay. And because of that belief, I don't believe in just servicing the customer. I believe in truly the structures of exchange and engaging with the customers. Okay. And that this is very important to extract referrals out of your current book of business. You have to engage with them. And I can't tell you how many industries I coach in a day that sells a person something and then they don't engage with them. They don't want to talk to them. They don't want to follow up with them. They don't want to, right? And okay, and so how do you expect referrals if you don't engage with people? And this is tough, especially when you start servicing large volumes of people, because you're trying to get new business out of your current book of business. Okay. And I thought it was interesting when I was in Vegas that Brad Lee has a concept called the Lightspeed Army. And these are a group of volunteers who get on a call with him every Monday and are basically earning a commission. They're commission salespeople that go out and sell his product. And the exchange is he gives them his time and expertise, and then they, on their own wheel, go out and sell his online academy for a commission. And he's got 30, 40, or 50 people, and they range from kids to 80-year-olds. Like, it was crazy. And he said, Coach, what you really need is you need a monster militia, which is your top 50 to 60 people out there selling your services for commission. And they get a piece every time they sell something. And you know, the exchange is you give them your time and energy, they get to be part of it, and they get a chance to have a little side hustle. Okay. That is extracting new business out of your current business. Okay. And then we end up with tonight's session, which is on person of interest. Now, you may say, why would you put person of interest at the end of the cycle? Like, isn't it about becoming known, becoming famous? And why don't you put that at the beginning of the cycle? And that's a valid question. I would tell you that, in my opinion, you are not ready to become a person of interest until you have these other foundational components in place, right? I've never met a lazy person of interest. Okay. Now think of all the people that you know that have done something big in the world. You probably never said, man, that woman was lazy or that dude was lazy and they did something big, but they were lazy. Like I've never met a lazy person of interest. So all people of interest that I know have an incredibly high prey drive, meaning they wake up in the morning with these huge, gigantic goals to change the world. Okay. And like with me trying to do the greatness factory will cost me a significant amount of money. Okay. I could keep that money. I could reinvest that money in apartment complexes. I could put it into the market, but it's not part of my mission. It's not part of my legacy. And if you're going to be a big time person of interest, you got to want to do something big. You can't wake up and say, man, you know what? I'm just going to do really small things. I'm going to just kind of toe the line, stay under the radar. People who want to be people of interest have a very high prey drive to do something big, change something, create something, make something. Okay. Then they are very clear in their beliefs. That's where their EOS comes in. Then they go out every day and initiate. They're movers and shakers, right? Then they follow up like crazy on opportunity. Then they know how to optimize relationship. So part of being a person of interest is having all of these foundational things in place so that when opportunity comes, you are ready to seize that opportunity. Okay. And this is very important because opportunity is going to come and what if you're not ready for it financially? What if you're not ready for it from a talent standpoint? Like you haven't worked the muscle, like, right? Like I always say, if somebody called you tomorrow and said, we're going to put you in front of 10 million people, what would you say? Would you be ready? Would you be prepared? When they called Robert Kiyosaki, when Oprah Winfrey called Robert Kiyosaki, she said, I want you to be on the Oprah show tomorrow to talk about, I want you to be on the Oprah show to talk about Rich Dad Poor Dad. He said, when do you want me to come? And she said, tomorrow. And he said, well, I'm in Hawaii. And she said, well, get on a plane right now because you're going to be on Oprah tomorrow. And his point was, you don't have time to practice when you're going on Oprah Winfrey within less than 24 hours and you got to get to the airport and get on a plane and fly to Chicago to be on the Oprah Winfrey show. That show changed his life. That show opened him up to millions and millions of people. Well, he didn't have time to read cue cards and note cards and somebody prep him. Either you know what you're talking about or you don't. Okay. You've either worked the muscle or you haven't. You've either put the time in or you haven't, right? And that's really a problem for a lot of people. Okay. So tonight we're talking about person of interest. And I want you to think about a person of interest as a person that is really in the transformation business, meaning they are known, they're renowned, they're celebrated, they're doing something remarkable. Okay. We think about people of interest as they're famous, right? They're famous just means known, by the way. They're known. So your journey toward kind of finding your voice and becoming this person of interest comes with some decisions, right? Like, what do you want to be known for? Okay. If you go to my website today, it says the number one, the world's leading authority on activating drive in people. That is what I've chosen to be known for. Okay. For years, I was a lot of things to a lot of people, and that was a mistake. What I really should have done is I should have said, I'm going to become the number one guy in the world at this. So becoming a person of interest is, what do you become known for? Covey was known for the 7 habits. Okay. Jim Collins, Good to Great. Patrick Lencioni, 5 dysfunctions of teams. Grant Cardone, 10X. Tony Robbins, right? Whatever. Date with Destiny, Awaken the Giant Within. Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's what these people are known for. That is what they do. Okay. When you think about them, you say, well, that dude there's the best dude in the world at that. Okay. That woman there is the best woman in the world at that. They are not good at all these things. They're good at this. This is the number one thing they're good at. And this is very critical to becoming a person of interest, because I believe at some point in life, you kind of have this revelation. I had a revelation about Prey Drive when I was sitting in a workshop with a guy named Bob Samara, who was in the Vietnam War. And he went out every morning in the war with this dog, and he kept talking about the dog having a prey drive. And it was the dog's ability to see something and pursue it. And I'm sitting in that workshop and I'm like, dang, that's what I've been doing for 28 years. I've been activating the prey drive in humans. Okay. Now, why is this important? Because if I'm going to be known for that, when people bring me in to speak, they say that dude's going to talk about mindset and prey drive. And they use that word prey drive a lot, like it's a unique word, right? So the question for you is, what are you going to become known for? What could you be the best in the world at? What revelation have you had? What have you been preparing your whole life for? Right? What do you, at the end of your life, say, this is it, right? Like this would be on my tombstone. Like this is what I spent my whole life doing this. Okay? Because that's how you become famous, is you become known for something. You become famous for something, which means to become known. Okay? Now, how do we come to this revelation? It's really at the intersection of some questions. And the questions are, what are you deeply passionate about? i.e., what do you love? Okay, let me ask it another way. When you wake up in the morning, what are you both fascinated by and motivated by? And you could be both fascinated and motivated for the rest of your life if you got up and got to do this every day. What do you love doing? What is a real passion of yours? Okay. What are you naturally talented at? Talent is God-given, not man-given, in my opinion. I can teach you skills, but I can't give you talent. Some people are just naturally talented at certain things. It's like you're really good at this. Okay. It comes natural to you, comes easy to you. Okay. Number 3, where is there a need in the world that you can fulfill? And this is where monetization takes place. Meaning your talent and passion solves a problem for another person, and they are willing to compensate you to solve that problem. Okay. So it's like you're really good at it. You're really talented at it, and it solves a problem for another person. And then 4, which may be the most important question, is what is your conscience telling you? Meaning you got to do it. Okay. And I look at it this way. If Kelly Perry told me that I couldn't coach tomorrow, that I had to spend the rest of my life, and you can do anything, but you can't coach people, I would be miserable, because that is what I was put on earth to do, is coach people. And if you took that away from me, I look at Joe Paterno. When they fired Joe Paterno at Penn State, he was dead within 6 months. Here's a guy who was walking 25 miles a day, running gassers with his linemen, been the football coach at Penn State for years, and they fired him, and he's dead within 6 months because he ran out of purpose. So to me, I wake up every day and do what I love doing, hopefully what I'm good at doing. I help other people perform at a higher level, which is a need. There's an exchange there. And I feel like this is what the good Lord put me on this earth to do. Now, when you see people operating in their zone, whatever that you want to call it, their zone of genius, their unique ability, they found their voice, then what happens is, over long cycles of time, they become very good at what they do. It becomes natural to them. It becomes easy to them. Other people look at it like, man, that person's good. It's like watching an artist. I think I used this in one of our other sessions. I had a person that went and saw Celine Dion sing in Nashville at Bridgestone Arena. And they said, man, if you could just sit there and watch that woman sing. She didn't dance. She didn't move around. She just sat there right in the middle of that stage and sang her little guts out. And everybody was just like, oh my gosh, like that's crazy to sit there and watch her do that, because that is what she's supposed to do. Okay. Now, if you said to her, look, Celine, you can't sing. You got to go over and do this, and you're not going to like it. You're not going to be that good at it, and you're probably not going to make any money at it. And she would be like, this is it. Like, this is what life's about, just doing this. When this is why artists and athletes are some of the highest paid people in our society, because they are operating in their strength zone, and people are actually paying to watch them perform. They're paying to watch them work. Football players are working on Sunday when you pay money to watch them. Okay. Artists are, right? Like, think about that. So for you, I always look at how do you become famous? Well, you become famous when you're real good. And when you're real good, that's part of it. But the other part is you got to become real known. Okay. Now, I had a conversation with Paul Martinelli. Some of you were on the 4:30 call today, and Paul Martinelli helped Les Brown, Bob Proctor, Jack Canfield with Chicken Soup for the Soul, John Maxwell. He was kind of the coach behind the scenes to all of these people. And he said to me, Coach, you are starting to figure this out, that this is not just, coaching is not just a business. It is about show business. Okay. And he said, the faster we can help you become famous, the more people you're going to help. And I said, well, then you get into, well, how do you help a person become famous? Okay. Well, you get more eyeballs on them. He said, when I started working with John Maxwell had 10,000 Facebook fans. Today he has 2.2 million. He said, do you know how much more you can do in the world when 2.2 million people are watching you? So I said, well, what did you do? Well, he said, well, I did a minute with Maxwell. Every day, John Maxwell did a minute. And then he did this, and then he did this, and then he did these events, and then he had these partnerships, and then he wrote these books, and then, right? It was like a plan to become famous. And over a 10-year period, he kept getting more famous and more famous and more famous and more famous. And the more famous you are, the more books you sell, the more podcasts you go on, the more speaking engagements you get. Right now, if Maxwell showed up and he wasn't any good, then he wouldn't continue. And he kept talking about renting other people's audiences, which is where you partner with someone who's got a big audience and you kind of rent their audience, but the audience figures out, man, you're good. Like, that person over there is good. I didn't even know who they were until I got in front of them. So this is where the strategic partnership comes in. So if you call me tomorrow and you said, look, I'm serious about becoming a person of interest. Does everybody on the call understand the importance of becoming known? You guys all understand this? Because you go to work every day, and a lot of people don't think about this. They don't think about how important it is to become known. Branding comes before marketing, meaning becoming known comes before trying to sell somebody something. If any one of you called me up and tried to sell me something and I didn't know who you were, what's the likelihood you would be able to sell me something? But what if I had read your book? Okay, I think I told you this. One of my contracts with maybe one of the most famous doctors in the world in Houston, Texas, came because the CEO went into a Barnes and Nobles and picked up a copy of Everybody Needs a Coach in Life. She read my book. And because she read the book, she wanted me to speak, so I went to speak for a day, and then I signed a $250,000 contract on the spot after one day of speaking after she picked up my book. I was a complete stranger to her before that. The book helped me become what? Known. Okay. And when I became known to her, now I'm in her atmosphere. Then it's like, we want that dude. Then it's like, okay, boom, I'm on a plane. The next week, we're signing a $250,000 contract. Okay. Now, when I went to Houston every month and coached that doctor, I said, I need you to help me become known in Houston because I don't know anybody. I don't know any people in Houston. There's 6 million people in Houston. He said, no problem. We'll start having parties at my house and I'll invite all the successful people. So he started inviting all these successful business owners to his house. He would have dinner. I'd get up and speak for 10 or 15 minutes. From that, I'd pick up 6 more clients. That 6 more clients would result in another $100,000. And the next thing you know, not only was I making the $250 to go him, I was coaching all of his friends because he was successful. And that's the concept. of structures of exchange is they're introducing you to new people. Okay. So once that you have something of value, now this is what I want to be known for. How do I become famous? All right. So here's some things I think you got to do if you want to become famous. Number one, you need to write a book. Okay. Writing a book. You say, well, why do I need to write a book? Folks, every famous person's got a book. Okay. Everybody that's done anything. For my Optavia folks, does Dr. A have a book? Yes. Does Doug Wood have a book? Yes. Okay. Everybody's got a book. Now, let me tell you why. The book forces you to have a message. The message gets you in front of people, and you don't need more money. You need more people. Okay. And so the book positions you as an expert. Okay. You also, once you become an expert, you need to get out and speak on your point of view. And that is in front of anybody you can speak in front of. Okay. Now, Kelly, I was thinking about you today, Kelly Eisler, because I have a young lady in my coaching program who runs a boutique called The Exchange. And man, she is a little Johnny on the spot. She is on social media, and she took her boutique and she built out a training room in the back of her boutique. And every month she's doing women's events, and she's on social, and she's like all these other boutique owners come to her because she's so progressive, and she's going to Atlanta and studying how they do it. And she's coming back, and man, she is just really, really, really impressive. And she's basically turned her boutique into a little coaching shop and into exchange business and to this. Man, she is just every day looking for some angle, right? And she's out there in front of people. And the more she speaks, the more people come to her business. And her little boutique, in a matter of 2 years, has come into our little city and just dominated all the other boutiques, because these other people were trying old, outdated tactics and strategy, where she's progressive. She's like, I'm going to have a little room where we do coaching for women, and you can rent my room, and you can come here and do this. And I'm on social media, and I'm doing Facebook Lives, and I'm doing specials on Saturday. And man, she's good. And because of that, she's quickly become a person of interest. It's like, who is that girl? I mean, she came out of nowhere. She was a real estate agent that started this boutique, and literally within 2 years, she's just dominating our little area when it comes to the boutique business. What did she do? She became a person of interest. And so what you're looking for is, I got a message, and man, I need to get that message out to the world. And I need to get in front of as many people as I can to share that message. I don't know where the new opportunity is going to come from. I just need to be in front of people. So I need a book. I need to be doing webinars, and the webinars drive new people. Right? I need to be on podcast. I need to be moving and circulating with new content out there all the time. Okay. And I need to be strategically partnering with other people to grow my audience. All right. Part of the concept of becoming known and famous in the world is feeding new people into the cycle. Okay. You can't just keep selling to the same people over and over and over and over and over. And any person that's trying to tell you to become famous is going to say, we need new people. So where do we get these new people? Right? Well, we get new people when we partner with other people, and it's me and you. Now I got access to your network. For example, this Friday, I'm doing a boot camp, a 2-hour boot camp with Cody Askins. Cody Askins is a little insurance guy. It's real successful in the insurance space, but he's got a database of 35,000 people. And so by see how that cross-pollination there? See, what about when I do something with Doug Wood, and Doug Wood puts me in front of his couple thousand people, and Susie Heyman puts me in front of her couple thousand people, right? And I go do something with Tim Story, and I get in front of his 1,000. And then I do something with Sharon Lecter, I get in front of her people. Next thing you know, man, I've added 30, 40, 50, 60, 100,000 people into my cycle. And now it's like, oh, who's this Coach Burt dude? I didn't even know who he was. Okay. And so my point to you is, if I'm constantly just trying to sell the same group of people, I can't grow. So part of being famous is I'm going to be on podcast. I got a book. I got a point of view. I got a message. I'm out there speaking on it. Man, I will do anything to get in front of people at any time because I don't need more money. I need more people. And then when I get in front of these people, it's like I have something to say. I'm hitting a chord and I'm resonating with certain people. Okay, which is why I do the Facebook Lives in the morning. Like when I do my Facebook Lives in the morning, my personal page is open to the public, which means anybody on planet Earth can watch my videos in the morning. I have since opened it up where anybody can comment on my videos. So now that I'm doing that, let's say our video gets 1,000 views in the morning. Okay, that's still 1,000 people that I'm in front of. Now, could anybody wake up today and take 1,000 meetings with anybody? No. So it's like taking a business meeting with 1,000 people. Now, let's say Norbert goes online, he does Facebook Live. He's got a good explanation of service. He's sharing a message. He's doing a 21-day series. And I'm watching him. And at first it starts and he's got 10 views and then he's got 15 views. And it's like, man, I like this guy. If he doesn't have something to push me to capture my data and my information, it's very, very hard for him to become a person of interest. So as I'm doing them this week, I'm like, hey, you need to be on that thing this week with us. You need to be on this virtual boot camp on Friday with us. So we'll get 100 to 200 more people in there. And then we will have a back-end package to sell. And we will get new customers and new clients. And then they will come to the lodge and spend 2 days with me. And then we'll get them in a 4-week mentoring cycle. And then you see how it just continues the cycle. Okay. So you get people excited, then you push them to something. Then they take action. Then they go tell other people. Then it's this cycle of adding new people over and over and over. Okay. Now, let me stop there and take any questions that you have, because what I'm trying to teach you is you don't become a person of interest by being average. You don't become a person of interest by not having something to say. You look at what Cody Askins did in the insurance space. The dude said, man, I'm going to build a conference called 8% Nation. And I'm going to go out here and be the #1 insurance guy in the world. Right? And I'm going to build a coaching business, and I'm going to start coaching people all over the world. And I'm going to do these conferences. Then I'm going to do little mini conferences. Then I'm going to do Facebook Lives. Then I'm going to hire a team of people. Then I'm going to, right? Like he said, I'm not just going to be an insurance salesman. I'm going to be one of the main insurance people in the world. That's a big difference between selling insurance. Okay. So this is what people of interest do, man. They wake up and they do big things in the world. And what happens is they get noticed and people are like, dang, look at that dude. Now, there are credibility indicators. People are watching you. People ask me, why did I get involved in F45? Why did I get involved in this gym? It adds another piece of the story. It's like, man, now the dude's owns gyms. Now I got all these people Instagramming me in the mornings like I'm working out at F45 in Houston. And Ken Jocelyn said I'm working out at F45 in Atlanta. Like, here's the bad news. That doesn't do me any good when he works out at F45 and somebody else is F45. Now, so I told my partner, I'm like, man, we're growing F45 for all these other people around the world, because all these other people are now working out at F45s. But here's the deal. That's okay. Because every time a person gets on there in the morning on Instagram and says, man, I'm working out at F45, Coach Burt, right? That's raising my person of interest score. Okay, Lori, so look at that. I checked into F45. You see what I'm saying? Here's my point. I'm raising the person of interest score of F45. Okay, so do you know one of the #1 investors of F45? Mark Wahlberg. The reason F45 became famous is because all these famous people worked out there. Hugh Jackman, Mark Wahlberg. And Mark Wahlberg went there and worked out and said, I love it so much, I want to be one of the owners of it. Okay, there's more F45s in Europe than there are Starbucks. That's how famous it is in other countries. So my point is, you say, well, why would Coach Burt do that? It adds another layer to my person of interest strategy, right? It's like, hey, man, look at what this dude's doing. I have people call me all the time and say, man, I don't know what all you're doing, but man, you're doing big things. And I want to be involved in something you're doing. So that adds to your person of interest strategy. Okay. All right. Let me stop there and take some questions.
So, Coach, I got a question about kind of what happens between your revelation and when you write that first book. So how do you kind of advance being an expert, and how do you get to that place where you have the message for that book?
When I wrote my first book, I didn't know it at the time that that would really help me become a person of interest. I sat down at 25 years old and I wrote person of interest, and I was really clueless. I just knew that I had been coaching for 10 years. I felt I could help other young coaches. And I wrote a very small book called Changing Lives Through Coaching. And I did not even think about, I didn't write the book to become a person of interest. I wrote the book to help other people. Now, what happened was crazy because other coaches wouldn't even buy my book. And that's who I wrote it for. Business people bought the book. And it wasn't a lot of business people, but it was enough. And here's what they said, Zach: will you come down and speak to my people? And I said, well, sure. Thanks for buying the book. I'll come, right? And I got in front of them and spoke, which forced me to kind of practice and have a message. And then they said, will you coach my people? And I said, I've never even thought about that. Then they said, well, how much would you charge to coach my people? And I said, I don't even know. I haven't even thought about it. Now, what's the lesson here I'm trying to teach you? When you write your first book, you don't really know what you're doing. But the fact that you write it forces you to get clear on your message, which gives you a message, which helps you get in front of people. And that's really very important to this equation of becoming a person of interest. If you pin me down and say, what's the number one thing you did uh, to become a person of interest? I would tell you, at 25 years old, I sat down and I wrote a book, man. And that really changed my life. It wouldn't because
Was there
sold a bunch of copies, by the way, because it didn't. I don't even know how many copies it sold. I bet it sold less than 300 or 400 copies, if that.
was there anybody who helped you with that book writing process, Coach?
Yeah, I mean, I had an aunt that worked in publication that kind of helped me package it and put it together. Um, I didn't have any professionals like today. You know, we have a publishing team that will write the book for you, help you write the book, package it. We have a marketing team that'll help you promote it. We have a team that helps you make it a bestseller. Like I didn't have any of those things when I did that. I just literally sat down, wrote the book. My aunt helped me package it. We used Instant Publisher to print it, and then we had 500 copies of it.
Do
But
you
that
think that yeah, if you went back and you had access to those things, do you think that those other things would have been important for your first book, or would they only be important further down the road for you?
I mean, if somebody else can come in and help you get a book out in 90 to 120 days, I think it makes it a lot of sense to let a
Okay.
professional help you. Yeah.
Okay.
And here's the
Thank
deal. You don't really know what you're doing. Even now, I'm on book number 17. Like now I have an agent. I have an offer from McGraw-Hill on the new book, which is a major publisher. And even the publisher wants me to have a writer helping me write the book because I'm a much stronger communicator than I am writer. But I'm okay with that. Okay.
Okay.
But listen, why would I go for a publishing deal versus self-published? Because if I go for a publishing deal, then the book on Pray Drive will be in every airport, every bookstore in America. It will be, listen, I don't care if I sell 10,000 copies. The whole point is the pictures, the images, the Instagrams, the look at Coach Burt's book in the airport, look at Coach Burt's book in Barnes and Noble. Look, it's a whole person. It's part of my person of interest play. I don't care if I make $1 off the book, to be honest with you. I'll make all my money off the book by just the buzz and the hype. Okay. Part of being a person of interest is show business, man. And until you get this, I don't care. I learned this from Cardone. Like I was telling Paul Martinelli this. I was such a disciple of Covey I just thought, man, I'll just be a great coach and I'll become famous. And then I was growing, but I wasn't growing like I could. And then I studied under Cardone. And what I really learned from Cardone was how to promote and how to market and how to make it into a circus and how to get people to the show and how to, like, that's really what he is. He's like the modern day P.T. Barnum. So, and that is valuable because it don't matter how good you are if you can't get people to the party. Okay. And that's part of being a person of interest is I took those people to Las Vegas with me, and think about it. We charged $7,500 to go to Las Vegas with me. They flew on a private jet. They spent 3 days with Brad Lee, and just going to Brad Lee's office is a total circus. So Bradley gets it, man. He's in show business. He's in the show business, and he lives in Vegas, so it even makes sense. So my point is, but Bradley's also running an $85 million company. And here's what's funny is people go to his office to hang out with him. Like I mean, think about your office. Do people come to your office, fly from all over the world just to hang out with you for a day? Just because it's cool to hang out with you? No, very few people do that. But they will do that at the New Greatness Factory, because the New Greatness Factory will be so cool. You'll want to come from all over the world just to hang out there. I just want to go there. I just want to see it. I just want to see what it's like. I always want to have an office there. That's show business, folks. And that is really person of interest. Okay. How do you know? Okay. So good question. What other questions do you have? Okay, go ahead, Kelly. Iceland.
Yeah. So you had mentioned that girl that with the boutique and she was doing the events. Are you able to share her name, or is that something you need to? I was just curious.
Yeah, her name is Brittany Davidson. Brittany Renee Davidson. She owns the Exchange in Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and she's in Monster Producer. Her husband is a top real estate agent named Tommy Davidson, one of my top people that I've coached for years. Good time, Tommy Davidson. And they make a little power couple. But she is she really understands person, and so does he, by the way. And he's going to do 160 real estate transactions this year.
Wow.
See, part of this is just, man, I got to become known. And if I become known, I'm going to get more leads, and I'm going to get more opportunity, and my phone's going to be ringing more. So pretty soon I'm going to release to the market that I'm going to do, I'll be doing podcasts. So I'm going to say, man, for the next, probably in December, anybody that wants me to have me on their podcast, and I may do 10 podcasts a day. Okay. Just to become known. Why do you think Cardone went on the show Undercover Billionaire? Because he understands when you're on television, you're introduced to new people. And if those people like you, they want to buy something from you. Why did Tony Robbins create Walking on Coals? I mean, you realize that's a stunt. That's a gimmick. I mean, it's not a gimmick, but it is a gimmick, but it's a successful gimmick, right? And you go back to the 80s and 90s when Tony Robbins started doing that, nobody else was doing it. I mean, how many other boot camps and workshops do you go to where you walk on coals? You understand what I'm saying? So he understood. What did he do when he first started? He had the infomercials with Fran Tarkenton. And you walk on coals when you go to, like, if you ever go to a Tony Robbins event, okay? How many of y'all been to a Tony Robbins event? It's all show business, okay? It's 4 days of cheering, clapping, dancing, music, like it's crazy, right? And then just watch the documentary on Netflix called "I'm Not Your Guru" on Tony Robbins, and watch how they manufacture those settings. I mean, it's amazing, really. Okay.
Hey, Coach, I did have one more question though. On the training you're doing at the lodge on January 12th and 13th, or somewhere there. Is it going to have part of with writing a book, correct?
We will get into, yes, we will get into the book writing as a part of that.
Okay.
The one where we spend the whole boot camp on writing the book is called Monster Publishing Retreat. So there's 2 different retreats. The $1 million coaching, I talk about the whole coaching business, how to make money speaking, coaching, training, leading, writing books, licensing, online academies. That is where I teach you how to make money as a coach. Okay. And the Monster Publishing is 2 days on nothing but the book and how you take the book and make money.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay. And then the mechanics of the book. And if you want our team to help you with the book, then Susie Heyman, our team is writing Susie's book. Yeah. Our team is writing books for some of the top mortgage originators. Michael O'Donnell, the #1 solar door-to-door person, our team is writing the book for him. So the reason is because here's what Michael O'Donnell said. He said, man, I would never finish the book. I know it's going to get done. I know it's going to get done in 120 days like this. Okay. And that's the value of that. Okay. Cynthia, what's your question?
Okay, so I'm working on person of interest. I had a big party yesterday, which went over so well. We talked about it, I think last week. I had 100 people, which was amazing, and it was a customer appreciation. My push was for my next event. So I'm doing Giving Tuesdays every third Tuesday of every month for a nonprofit or charity. And I push that day just to lead them to the next one, to get them to know what's happening. I have a really good following and a presence with the restaurant. I also co-branded it with my real estate team, which was me, just so everybody could see the presence of both my restaurant and real estate. I've been talking to you a little bit just about my growth and talking about you and what you can do. So now I have 3 little areas, right, that I like and I have a presence in and everybody knows what I'm doing. My question is, being a person of interest, do I stick with one particular avenue and go strong with that? Because I've told you and I've made it known, I've voiced it that I want to write a book.
Yep.
I had an idea about feeding your soul, feeding something like that, incorporating the restaurant as feeding, but yet my new growth process and you. So I'm just kind of curious how to either tie it all together or pick one. I'm just, what would be my research process to see what would be the next step?
Yeah. I think most people would tell you to pick a lane and stay focused in that lane. Mm-hmm. So you can truly become an expert. Now, mm-hmm. You may say, well, Coach Burt, you got a lot of things you're doing. Well, all of my things come back to prey drive, activation of prey drive in people, no matter what it is. Okay. Mm-hmm. So my core product is coaching. I can coach you at a gym. I can coach you how to write a book. I can coach you how to build a coaching business. It all comes back to the primary thing of coaching. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I would tell you, if I had to go back and do it again, I probably would have picked a lane and said, this is it. This is what I'm going to stay focused on. And if this is your big concept, then everything flows from that one big concept. Okay. Everything flows from that one concept. Look at a guy like Cardone, it's 10X. And that's everything. Everything flows from that one concept. 10X your life, 10X your business, 10X your kids, 10X your money, 10X everything. Everybody with me? And it all flows from that system, from that primary vein. Okay. And so I think if you could find a way to incorporate everything, mm-hmm. Or the different things from the one concept, then that's good.
Okay. Just the process of trying to figure it out.
Yeah. It's like, what's your 10X? It's like, what's your 10X? Well, my 10X is feed you, feed this. Could that feed your business and feed your real estate? Well, sure. Mm-hmm. Maybe it can. And if you can, that's called intentional congruence.
That's what I'm working on. You asked today in Monster Producer, what do you want for next year? So I'm really trying to think about that. So that sparks all these, questions and how do I get to my actual goals for what I see for myself next year? So I got to work through some of that.
Well, and I would encourage you, if you have a desire, any of you on here have a desire to write a book, you should at least do a strategy session with Gabrielle Garrett on our publishing team.
I did book it.
Yeah. And just talk to her. Mm-hmm. And let her walk you through the process of how it works. If you want to do it, do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Mm-hmm. Okay. There's an easy way and a hard way, folks. I can tell you that right now. Okay. Right. Because I've written 16 of these things. Okay. And so I understand that, but I think each one of you need to be thinking about writing a book if you want to be a person of interest.
So ask me a hard question. Like if you were coaching me, I mean, we are coaching, but if you wanted to draw it out of me, like what's a hard question you would ask me to get me to realize what would be my main lane? That's like, I'm trying to get it out of myself.
All right. If I called you tomorrow and said, I'm going to get you on a TED stage and you got 18 minutes and 6 million people are going to watch you, what would you talk about?
It's a great question.
You asked me for a hard question.
Yeah. Honestly, I think it would be, the fact that I love my restaurant is one thing, but it's not, it is my passion, but it's people. And it's the fact that the growth process that I'm on right now, in all honesty, I would talk about the value of you and what the power of you is, because a lot of people don't understand how powerful they are as a person.
Yeah. Okay. So that's your TED Talk. This is This is why it's important. If each one of you had a TED Talk and it would change your life because 6 million people could watch it, and you only had 18 minutes, and it is your life's work. Okay. I used to think mine would be on everybody needs a coach in life, and maybe it would, right? Like really make a case for why people need a coach. Or it would be on Pray Drive. That's the only two things it would be on. I got other concepts, $1 Million Follow-Up, legacy selling, explanation of service, but that would not be my TED Talk. My TED Talk would be, look, this 18 minutes can change your life. And it's going to be so powerful that 6 million people are going to talk about it and share it with other people. And I'm going to become famous, like Brene Brown. Nobody knew who she was before she had the TED Talk about vulnerability. Nobody. She did the TED Talk on vulnerability. Look at her. Now she's writing best-selling books. Now she's on Oprah Winfrey. Now she's doing crazy things. Why? Because she was good. And she talked about something that hit a lot of people, the power of being vulnerable. So my point was, but she didn't know that. She didn't know, hey, I'm going to go on TED. It's going to change my life. She had been spending her whole life studying that. And then it's like, this is my life's message. This is what I want to say to the world. This is why I want to be famous. Okay. And matter of fact, T.D. Jakes always said he never set out to be famous. He set out to be effective. And the more effective he was, the more famous he became. If you study T.D. Jakes, he preached at a little church in West Virginia to 100 people for 10 years. Nobody knew who T.D. Jakes was. What was he doing? Getting better, working the muscle, learning how to communicate, learning how to get an audience up and down. If you go watch that man preach in Dallas, Texas, it is one of the most amazing things you will ever see, how he can move 10,000 people and take them on a journey up and down. I mean, it's crazy. I'm like, he is one of the best communicators in the world. Why? Where did he become such a great communicator? Right? He became such a great communicator through practice of 10 years of doing it over and over and over. And then it's like, boom, there he is. That's how, okay. But he didn't become famous until he moved to Dallas, Texas and started Potter's House. Okay. And so this is kind of the concept of person of interest is I kind of want to leave you with this. The reason you want to become a person of interest, okay, you may have grown up wanting to be known or famous. I think because my dad really never paid any attention to me as a kid, that there was something inside of me that said, man, when I grow up, I'm going to be famous. I'm going to be so well known that not only is my dad going to know me, millions of people are going to know me. Okay. And that may be Freudian in some way. But at the same thing, because I got a psychologist, she's like, oh, that's way too Freudian. That's just way too Freudian. And I'm like, well, you tell me why I want to be famous, since you're the expert, right? Okay. Now, here's the point. When you really want to be famous, it is not to make millions of dollars, although you may in the process. It is really to help more people. Mother Teresa is famous, right? Big time people are famous. And it's because they have a desire to help large numbers of people. And the more known and famous you are, the more people you can help. And that is really the reason you want to become a person of interest, not just for the money or the notoriety.
Coach, I got a quick clarifying question.
Okay.
So, my favorite book says there's nothing new under the sun. Uh-huh. And, I'm looking at, we all have our free prize. And I'm looking at your book, the graph you have with the, and so that's my big thing is that I'm really trying to decipher that. I feel like that's my key. If I can figure that out, I can move forward with the next step in my career. And am I understanding and what I'm hearing you say in your book and hearing you say now that, all the different things that people, there's only so many things that can happen to people in the world and so many combinations of those things. But it's almost like your thing may not be the most unique thing in the world, but you're going to find a unique way to package it.
That's right. Yeah. I think that's a good way of saying it because here's what I would tell you. I was thinking about this yesterday. I need to come back and do a second version of Person of Interest because I wrote that book 10 years ago and things have changed. Part of being a person of interest today is being known and famous. And that's not really the context of the book. The book is finding your special and being unique in the world and finding your free prize. And you're in the business of changing lives. But I would tell you that finding unique concepts or saying it or packaging it in a different way, okay, makes you into how you package a concept can really make you into a person of interest. Okay, I mean, a book that comes to my mind is Atomic Habits. How many times have we been told in our lifetimes it takes 21 days to build a habit? You are what you eat, you are whatever, right? And then this guy comes out with Atomic Habits, and the way he packaged that up made him famous because it's a unique way of saying it, right? Prey drive to me is just a unique way of talking about it because nobody was talking about it in humans. They're talking about it in animals. And so what I was coached by Dan Sullivan of Strategic Coach, and he used to teach us, give everything a unique name and make everything a unique process, right? And whatever it is, take it from being boring to making it interesting. So I have a unique process of taking people and doing this, okay? And I'm giving everything a unique name. You know, what he wrote the book, Who, Not What. And that's a new book he has out. It's kind of a spinoff of what I talked about in my session this afternoon, is that once you know what you want to do, then you need to go to people who can help you do it, okay? And his whole point is, don't matter what you want to do. What you really ought to be doing is getting to the who. Who can help you make $10 million? Who can help you become famous? Who can help you go from here to there? So if you notice what I'm doing, I'm reaching out to people like Paul Martinelli that built Maxwell's brand, or Sharon Lecter that built Rich Dad Poor Dad, because they know how to do it. And I'm saying they are the who can help me, okay? Because I know what I want to do. It's just a matter of who can take me from point A to point B the fastest, okay? And it takes you a couple years to do that. My wife was asking me last night, well, how expensive is that going to be? How expensive are these people going to be? And I said, oh, they're going to be real expensive. But if it helps us make $20 million, we ain't gonna care how expensive they are. Okay. So, and she's like, okay. But the point is, you don't get to be that good and not be expensive. Okay. You can either, right? When you're good, you're expensive. That's just the way it is, folks. Okay. So that part is irrelevant. And here's what I noticed. When Martinelli was telling me how he did it with Maxwell and how he did it with Les Brown and how he did it with Bob Proctor, I was already sold, right? He didn't have to sell me. He basically just told me, this is how I'm going to do it with you, coach. I'm already sold on what he's doing. He didn't have to like hard sell me on doing it. I already want to be famous. He said, here's how I did it with these 5 people. This is what I'm going to do with you. And I'm like, okay, I'm in. It's the easiest sell in the world to make. When you help a person do what they want to do, they just don't know how to do it, then it's easy to sell something. Okay. And so I think, Amy, I think you're thinking right. Take concepts, package them up in your way, and deliver them in a way that's unique to you, and you become a person of interest. Okay. Any more questions?
Yeah, I got a
Coach.
question.
Oh, go ahead, Norbert. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. So I didn't think I had a question until you just said that last thing. So you spurred a question in me. So I've talked to you before that I have this career coaching business. I have this cancer thing that we're doing with my wife. And it now has a Facebook page. It has a logo. I mean, it's real now. And I'm doing Optavia. I'm doing Optavia kind of for me, but I'm feeling pulled in multiple directions, right? Because the career thing has been my business for a number of years. And it's my sweet spot. The cancer healing journey is my passion. The Optavia thing is necessary because in order for me to preach health, I need to be healthy and be a product of the product. However, people are seeing me and wanting me, hey, how are you losing weight? How are you getting in shape? And so I just feel, and I think one of the ladies earlier mentioned getting pulled in, these different directions. And I mean, if I were to take your advice and I would throw off the Optavia to the side, I would throw the career coaching, and I would pour 100% into how to heal cancer. And that would be my passion. But I feel like kind of what you just said there at the very end left me with a little question mark over my head.
Well, the intentional congruence I was dealing with this yesterday with a person, and he's signed up for our coaching summit in January. He's got a very successful clothing business, okay, where he, dresses men, like me, sells me my suits that I wear. And he's got a little bit of a coaching business, and he's doing some consulting. He's really pulled in thirds, right? He's got 3 businesses. And I said, man, come to the coaching summit. I'm going to show you how to tie all of those businesses together. You can coach people, and while you're coaching them, you can introduce them to your clothing business, right? And he had this lodge, so he spent a third of his time at this lodge that he loved taking care of. And I said, well, why do you love coaching people? Yes. Okay. Well, why can't you coach people at the lodge? And why can't some of those people that you want to dress send over to your clothing division? You just call them different, right? It's like there's not one door that you come in. So Norbert, if you came in and you came in this door and I detected that you needed to get healthier, I'd say, man, did you know I got a health division? Or if you had this division, said, hey, I know I got this message over here that you can see, and this is for a certain type of person. So I believe in intentional congruence, but I do believe you need one core product, one core primary driver. And people come into that driver, and then you say, would you like door A or door B, right? But you need one thing to bring them in, and that may be your career coaching. I don't know. It's just, I think you got to ask the questions I asked tonight. What do you love doing? What are you good at doing? Where does the monetization take place? And what are you supposed to be doing? And if you come back and say, I feel like I'm supposed to be doing this thing with cancer, that's right. Then I'm going to ask you, well, how are you going to monetize it? How are you going to make it work? How are you going to build the business? Because even a nonprofit needs money. So I think you got to get clear on what's your primary door people are going to come in. And then how do you invite them to these other doors? I'm not saying you got to give those other doors up. You just got to find the primary door of which people come in. Monster Producer is my primary door people come into. Then once they come in Monster Producer, then they go, hey, I'd like to go to a boot camp with Coach Burt. Oh, I'd like to do that couples retreat with Coach. Oh, I'd like to go to that coaching summit. 50% of the people I attract want to be a coach. I don't care what they're doing for a living. They're running restaurants, they're insurance salesmen, they're Optavia people, but they have a desire to speak, coach, train, or lead, which is why I created the products, $1 Million Coaching Summit, Monster Publishing Division. I didn't create the product first and then try to sell it to people. I said, man, all these people want to coach. I've been coaching for 18 years. Why don't I teach them how to coach? Right? I figured out how to make millions of dollars coaching. So I'm sure they'd want to know that. So I didn't go out thinking I'm going to create the product and try to sell the product. I really went out and did my market research and said, hey, all of these people really want to coach. Take all the Optavia people, for example. They all want to write books too. So it's like, okay, you know why? Because they got a message. They've been transformed. They've changed. They want to share it with the world. So I watched this on Undercover Billionaire with the first guy. He said most people create products and then try to sell those products to people. What you ought to be doing is seeing what the market needs and then creating a product to solve the problem that people have. Okay. If Cynthia figures out that, hey, people come to the restaurant, but they really want this one product. Okay. She got to find a way to deliver that product to them because that's what they want. Okay. And that's kind of how I've built my business now with all these intentionally congruent. It's like, we're going to roll out an accounting division. You know why? Because 98% of the people I coach hate their accountant. And the accountant's done a terrible job. So I partnered with a big time accountant who I believe in, who's done all my accounting. And I said, hey, if you need a great accountant to get your books in order, come over to Monster Accounting and we'll take care of you. And here's the deal. I'll get a percentage of that back to me. Right? There may come a day where all my ancillary businesses produces more revenue than my primary coaching business. Everybody see that? But they're coming to me for coaching. I just happen to say, hey, would you like this? Yes. Would you like this? Sure. Would you like this? Okay, good. Okay. All right. Good question. Does that help you, Norbert? Okay. Zach, you want to finish this up?
Yeah. So I just had a quick question. I know you talked about, you've got time when you're working in your selling system, right? That's very structured time. Then you talk about time when you retreat and it's more your creative time to really plan out where you're going. So I wanted to ask you about that because when I take creative time, I find myself drifting too much. It's not productive. I don't get very much done. So how do you keep yourself kind of productive and accountable in that less structured time?
Well, I don't. when I retreat, for example, I went to the mountains, this weekend, and I have creative burst. I go for a walk, I listen to podcasts, I read a book, I get creative. When I get creative, I sit down and work on a project, and I can pump something out fast. So on my creative time, I have no schedule, no coaching appointments. I just kind of get out and do whatever I want to. That may be go exercise, it may be go for a walk, it may be ride around, it may be listen to a podcast. But when I get inspired to work on something, I work on it. So I've got my iPad with me at all times. And you'll see me, if you looked at my notes on my iPad, man, I have ideas, flashes, boom, boom, that's an idea. Some of those turn into money, right? And so I've got that with me, and man, I just had an idea. I'm going to sit down and write out the copy for this. I go. Then I stop. When I write a book, I remember when I wrote Zebras and Cheetahs, we went to Florida to write that book. At those days, I had a condo on the ocean. And my buddy who went with me, who's the co-author, we went down, and on day one, 8 o'clock, he gets up and he pulls out his computer. He's like, all right, let's go. Let's write this book. And I'm like, no. That ain't how this is going to work. Okay. We're going to go to breakfast, and we're going to take a notepad. We may or may not even talk about that book. Then we come back. We may go for a walk. I may go exercise. We may go eat again. We may ride into town. And when I get inspired, we're going to sit down and write that book. And once we start writing it, we may write from 8 o'clock at night till 4 in the morning. But I'm not going to force myself to be creative. I'm just going to let my mind run wild. And when my mind's run wild, when my mind is free, so I go to the mountains, I'm inspired. I go to the ocean, I'm inspired. I get relaxed for a day or two, I'm inspired. And when I'm inspired, I bang out ideas. And that's where the content comes from that I create. Okay. So yesterday I sat down and created the coursework for this month's Monster Producer. And I'm going, you know what? As I'm retooling my 2021, what do I need? Well, I need to decide what I need to do. Then I need to decide who can help me. Then I need to decide how much we're going to do. And then and then I'm building the course, and I'm in there tinkering with it. Like, Tinkerbell. I'm in there tinkering with it like this. Then I'm drawing it up. Then I'm playing. Right. That's how I come up with ideas and concepts. But I don't force myself to be creative. Now, John Grisham, those people that write every day, that's what they do for a living. They get up and they start writing at 7 o'clock in the morning, and they write till noon every day. Every day, that's what they do. They get up and they write. That's all they do. But that's how they get paid. Okay, so that's their job. Okay, so whether they feel like it or not, don't matter to them. They got to pump a book out, and they got a deadline, and they got another book and another book. I don't operate that way when it comes to the creativeness. I let the creativity come to me, but it almost always comes when I've changed my state of energy. I exercise on a Saturday. I may go for 2 bike rides, go for a walk, ride into town, listen to a podcast, watch a documentary. Then I get inspired. Then I let it go. Then I let it flow. Good question.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, folks, this has been good. Okay. It's like I said in Vegas, it's been real and it's been fun, but it ain't been real fun. I'm just joking. You guys have been great. I really, really appreciate the last 6 weeks that we've been doing this on this legendary creature package. Remember, you get access to Monster Producer. So we're not done tonight. You should be participating in the coaching every week. If you don't understand it, I understand we offer a lot of things. Get with Megan at coachburt.com. She'll be happy to explain it to you. I want to see you at the lodge as part of your package. If you are interested in having a discussion about writing your book, or if you need help marketing or funnels or any of those things, then just let me know. We have a team of professionals that can help you. Okay. Because I quickly figured out that a lot of people just don't know what to do. They want to do it, but they just have no idea how to do it. They don't know how to do the webinars. They don't know how to do the websites. They don't know how to do the funnels. They don't know how to write the book. So if you have needs, just say, hey, I'd like to have a discussion about that. Doesn't mean you got to do it. You can make up your own mind if you want to do it. Okay. But we do offer a lot of those things. And these are companies that I personally endorse. The people that are not that good, we weed out pretty quick. And I feel pretty confident in the marketing companies we're working with, and definitely in the publishing team we're working with right now, and all those things. So if you need any help in that, email Megan at Coach Burt, say, let me have a discussion, and we'll just start the process. Okay. Let's see. Is there an early session? What are you saying there? Yes, there is. 7:30 on Wednesday morning is the early session of Monster Producer. 7:30 Wednesday morning. If you see what I'm doing, I teach the second Wednesday right now in 2020, the second Wednesday of every month, 7:30 and 4. 7:30 is online, 4 p.m. is not, but we replay the replay. And if you ever want to watch it live, it's the second Wednesday of the month online. It's the same thing. Megan posted the Zoom link. We'd love to have you on there. This month is on strategy. So make sure that you're in there. If you missed it, go back and watch the replay. All right, folks. Good session tonight. God bless you. Thank you for being so coachable. You know, I love working with you. You guys have a good night. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach. Have a good one.
Have a great night.